Hello guys and welcome! So in today's video we're gonna be having a look at this here USB soldering iron. This little USB soldering iron I found on Better Buy, and I was quite intrigued by it because I do a lot of soldering on the go, so I thought it would be quite nice to have something like this which I can just plug into the side of my laptop wherever I go when I go there and just do my soldering anywhere. So today we're gonna be having a look at it and see if it's any good, if we can actually solder with this thing. I am a little skeptical about it because it is really small, and the normal 5 volts you get out of a USB, I don't think it would be enough, especially not the amperage you could get out of an average USB. So we're gonna have to see if it impresses me. So first let's have a look at the packaging and see what they say. So first here on the back they say it heats up in less than 15 seconds and it cools down in less than 30 seconds. Well, I don't worry that much about the cooldown time. I mean, it might be important to you. And then it says it has a long life tip with a protective cap. It says it takes 5 volts and 8 watts. And then they just say about the long life tip again there on the back. So there it is. Just some basic plastic packaging, nothing fancy about the packaging. So let's get it right out of here and have a look at it. Okay, there we go. We get a little basic stand for it. I guess that is sufficient. Okay, just some cardboard. Pretty heavy duty USB cable for power, and here we have a little bit of solder. Thin solder we got with it. Don't know about the quality of this, so we'll have to test that out as well. Yes, and then we have the USB cable here for it. So this looks to be quite long, not too bad. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's alright. I think it's actually longer than my soldering station's cable. Like, yeah, it's actually longer than the cable on my soldering iron on my soldering station, so that's pretty good. Because very often with these Chinese products, you do find that they include a pretty short USB cable to save on costs. And yeah, this looks like pretty good quality, pretty thick, pretty long. But I'm assuming it has to be because this thing takes quite a lot of power over that 5 volts, so to be able to supply it properly, it has to be. Okay, but now we've blabbered on enough about that. Let's have a look at the iron itself. So here it is. It's got like a translucent casing, and then let's see the little cap. How does this come? Yeah, okay, the little cap just pulls off. It's a very thin, strange shape that it has. Looks like it can screw loose here and come off, or we should rather not do that before I break it, before we've even tested it. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's got a little switch on here. I believe this should be to turn it on and off, but I didn't read a manual or anything, so I wouldn't know. So what I'm gonna do to test it, I'm just gonna plug it into my little charger here. This here is a pretty powerful charger. It's a 2 amp or 2.1 amp actually charger. So if anything can power it, it should be this, because like a computer USB only has 500 milliamps. So there I'm a little skeptical whether it would be able to power it at all. This point looks like it's a little crooked actually. But oh well, in anyways, let's plug it in. Okay. I guess we should press this. Okay, yes, and there it has a little blue light on it. And it does seem to be warming up. Let's give it a minute. I don't think I should be touching that. Okay. And how long is this gonna take to heat up exactly, I wonder? Does it have like a light when it gets to temperature as well, I wonder? They say 15 seconds, so we should actually have timed this. Okay, I'm gonna try and melt this solder just first that they included. Don't know about how good it is or anything. Okay, yeah, it's melting it. Yeah, it's actually melting it pretty easy. Easier than I would have thought. So yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, but like I said, I don't know what that is. This is good quality solder, but this is also one that melts at a pretty low temperature. It's a lead based one, but it's a much thicker one. And yeah, no, it's melting pretty easily. Oh yeah, that's something I thought might be a problem. I can already see it. So the problem I'm seeing with this now here is that because it's got such a small element and such little amount of power, the thermal capacity of this tip isn't very high, so it runs out of thermal capacity really quickly, so you might have trouble soldering bigger joints. But in any ways, let's test it out on this board. Here I've got an old power supply from an LCD, and see if we can solder anything on here. So I'm gonna give it a really hard time. Gonna try something a little bigger. See if we can just melt the solder here that's holding in this here diode. Okay, and it's not really doing anything. I don't think it's got the horses to do this. Yeah, it's very much like I thought. So when it comes to bigger things, this little soldering iron isn't going to be capable. Let's see on some smaller joints whether we have any luck there. It's like it's really just not holding temperature at all anymore. And this tip is very flexible. It's flexing around a lot as well, making it feel kind of not sturdy at all. Let's hold it still for a while on top of something and see if it will ever melt it. Or maybe this is just much too hard. Yeah, no, this thing's tip is really flexing around like nothing. You have to really not put weight on it, because it will make it flex. So let's give it a little bit of time to heat back up again. So yeah, this is basically just a power on and off switch I see now. So it's very basic in that sense, but it's nice that it actually has something to turn it on and off with. Should have had some time to recoup its heat now. So let's try one of these small resistors here. See if we have any luck. Yeah, no, I'm not really having much luck with this. The solder on this board is a lead-free solder, I know that for a fact. So yes, it will be a little harder to melt, but any respectable soldering iron should be capable of melting lead-free solder as well. Let's see if I've got anything else here that might be a little easier. Okay, I've got this board out of an old hi-fi, old radio actually, more like. I believe it's still lead based. So let's try and remove one of these small capacitors on the board. See if we can even melt the solder. Yes, you see, for this it's fine. Yes, you see now, it's melting. No problem. No, now it's cold again. No. No, really, I wouldn't recommend this thing. The problem I have with this little iron is that it just simply doesn't have the thermal capacity. It gets hot enough, no problem. But the minute you start using it, it loses that heat. It can't hold that temperature. That's the problem that I was expecting with this, because it's just too small simply, and it doesn't have the power, because it's only powered by USB. And I'm using it currently on a 2.1 amp power brick here. If I am using this on like a normal USB on a computer or like a laptop, it's gonna have an even harder time, because then it will only have 500 milliamps to run off of. So, as for this little iron, I'm sure there are some uses for it, but there isn't enough uses for this little iron for me to be able to recommend it to you. I would rather recommend you go out and you buy a cheap normal soldering iron, and you make a plan to get power to it if you have to solder somewhere in a weird area. There are some 12 volt soldering irons as well available, and I know they are quite a bit better for if you're like soldering inside of like a car or so. And there's even some that that's like battery operated, that runs off like a more powerful battery than like just 5 volts, like an 18 volt battery or 12 volt battery. Those ones work way better, because they just simply have more power in this. This thing was impossible to make to be better than it is. It does function better than I actually expected it to, but still not good enough. So, my conclusion for this iron is that I wouldn't really recommend you to bother with it even. It would be more of a waste of money to purchase this than to just get a cheap normal soldering iron even. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this. That will be all for today. You guys know the drill. Please like this video if you liked it, and please do subscribe to the channel for more content like this.